Call the meeting to order, the Halifax County School Board. I'd like to welcome everyone that is here this evening. We appreciate you coming. I would ask the board to please check your microphones and make sure that when you ask to speak, that your microphone is on.
Testing.
We are here. We will hear each other's opinion, but ultimately we will act as one. We will speak candidly and courteously to each other and listen to dissenting or different viewpoints with an open mind. We will help each other to solve disagreements. Once we reach a decision or compromise as a board, we will each support the will of the board in word and in deed. I would now ask for a moment of silence, and I would ask that you please remember the Coles family during this time. Let us now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The second item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. It was mailed to us last week, and we also received a second copy through the mail. I need a motion for the approval of our agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, you're supposed to carry that motion out to be, see if there's discussion on it.
You're exactly right. I'm
Thank
sorry. Is there any discussion?
Just so happen it is.
Okay.
I had a chance to look at this. I didn't get this Saturday. That's fine because it's enough on here to read, but it came to kind of obvious to me when I look at the personnel report that we got 13 people that have resigned this month. And I wanted to get some type of input on that, not in closed session as we normally do, but we need to get this in open session because when I mentioned that to Ms. Marshall a moment ago, she said, well, it's 17 because we had 4 last month. And it seems to me we need to discuss this because you need to be aware, you meaning the public, need to be aware that we're running short of people. And we know why. In case you don't know why, let's find out in the meeting today while you're here why I think it's that way. What I'm saying is not gospel, but I think there's a reason for it. But I want to see what Val has gotten from the people that she's talked to, what Mark's feeling is on it, and what you as board members feel about that is what we're going to need to do. We're going to have to come up with something. And the reason for that is obvious because we're going to end up with a system that's completely new next year, whether y'all realize it or not. We're going to have regular everyday learning, and we're going to have virtual learning. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. That means that some of you that like that go take the opportunity to let your kids stay at home and go on with virtual. And I think we don't need to discuss this in July, August. We need to discuss this last month, really. But the 13 really did it for me when I saw that Saturday. When I looked at it, I'm saying, whoa, that's too many. And I feel like, Madam Chair, that needs to be put on the agenda down on the new business, because we need to talk about this. And we need to talk about it in front of the public, because if you're not concerned about it, maybe by me bringing it up, you will become concerned about it. Yes, sir. I will do a motion on that behalf. Oh, yes, I'll do that. I don't have a problem with that. Right. Oh, no, we're not gonna talk about anybody personnel, about their job. All we're gonna talk about is the salary situation and the people resigning and possibly why, because we need to look at that. Exactly. So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. As amended.
As amended.
All right, so after adding this to new business, I need to get a motion for this to be added to the new agenda. Just to approve the agenda with the amendment under new business.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
On next to, do we need to go back and approve the agenda now, or is it? Okay. Citizens' comments this evening.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Where did that come from?
Right here.
Okay. All right. All those, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Long. Next item of business is the citizens' comments. Mr. Clark is on the agenda, and Mr. Clark, you can come up and address us. You have 3 minutes, and then I'll ask if there's anyone else that wants to come up. Yes, sir. Right to the microphone. There
Hear
you
me
go.
now?
There you go.
Okay, Halifax County School Board members, I'd like to speak on an agenda item that you have tonight. I'd like to speak on the track between the Halifax County High School and the middle school. This track is a place where student athletes are allowed to showcase their talents. Many school sports use the track to practice and condition. Young girls learn social, emotional, physical, and behavioral skills with Girls on the Run program, and many in the community use this track to stay fit and healthy, both physically and mentally, by interacting with each other. We also have one of the top walkers in the United States that uses this track every week. He also not only uses the track to benefit his health, but also everybody that he interacts with every day. Unfortunately, this track is in complete disrepair. I provided a packet with current pictures of the surface for all of you to review in your packets tonight. I was at the track during a meet in May, and 3 of the lanes were closed because they could not be successfully used because of the safety risk to our athletes. This track is a liability to the school system, and I personally do not want to see anyone hurt. No common athlete should compete, practice, or train in an unsafe facility for any sport. As we stand today, we are knowingly allowing our track and community athletes to practice and compete without their safety at the forefront of our priorities. I know that a new or renovated school would have this repair in the budget, but we cannot wait. We cannot knowingly allow this safety hazard to present itself. We must act now. I also want to note that this track has been such a positive thing for our youth, community, and civic groups. It allows a safe space to exercise and make connections that benefit Halifax County as a whole. And I would not agree with any notion that the community use on this track has allowed it to get in the shape that it's in. The track has had little or no maintenance done in its 15-plus year life, and the track is currently at the end of its useful life. If resurfaced, we must do a better job of maintaining the track. This would include cleaning the track, consistently landscaping, not leaving track equipment out to rust and dry rot, and repair the track routinely. I see the community use of this track as an asset and a great thing for Halifax County as a whole. It helps build a connection to the school system and everyone involved. When the community feels a part, they are more likely to support other initiatives such as attending school events, supporting booster clubs, and donating their time and money. I ask you as a supporter of the community, student athletes, and civics groups that you please support this immediate need of this athletic and community cornerstone. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Excuse me interrupting, Madam Chair. Are you a teacher, sir?
No, sir.
You don't work for the school?
No, sir.
Okay.
No. I work at Hitachi ABB in South Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The reason I'm doing it, I want to find out why we even had a track meet over there, because if I'm not wrong, this track has been like that. It didn't just get like that since COVID. It was like that before COVID, several years before now. And I was wondering why we would even try to have a track meet over there. Because from what I understood, we couldn't even have a track meet because the thing was in such bad repair. Mark, you know what the deal is on that?
I mean, there's a couple thoughts I have on it. Number one is if you're paying attention to what's going on in the entire Commonwealth right now, it's about dilapidated schools and infrastructures, and part of them is athletic infrastructure as well. We have been aware of the track problem for a number of years. That's one of the reasons that of course, is in the broader scope of the high school itself, as part of the high school facility, and seeking $100+ million in state sales tax to get it repaired. And while we have track meet there, I would assume that our track is, I know going to GW Danville, their track is in similar disrepair as our track, and I'm not sure who we're running against that day, but I would think that many of the schools in Southern Virginia circumstances are like ours, but I do say this is time to fix the track and you know, time to figure these things out.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cat. I got a question from
Yes, Mr. Adele.
all.
Make sure your
Mark,
mic is on.
Is this included in our capital improvements? Do we have this down?
Yeah, I mean, so our capital improvements been with the high school has been a comprehensive approach to the high school, fixing all the facilities up and including it into that project. And every time we've done that, that's what it's been there, because the high school is kind of a standalone project in of itself, the dire needs of the high school. So that's been part of it. The stadium, track, the entire facility, fixing it up, knowing this needs to occur. Yes.
Do we have a figure?
Yeah. So in a report tonight, it is in your packet, and I was going to go over what that would be tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Thank
can do
you.
it now if you want me to.
Let me finish with the comments section, okay? Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Yes, ma'am, if you come on right on up, and I think Mr. Davis is going to help you there.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much. My name is Markia Hamlet. I am a parent, and I have 3 children. I have one who graduated in 2020. I have a 10th grader who's going to the 11th grade. I have a 4th grader who will be he's going to the 5th grade. And I just wanted to address some concerns that I have about the high school. And so I just want to let you know, I thank you guys for everything that you all have done to protect and nurture our students. I'm proud of what we've accomplished in the last 15 months. I think it's amazing everything that everybody's done to work together. I see that, things are improving and the world is beginning to heal, and I believe now is the time to act and take advantage of this opportunity to set our students up for a better future. I was fortunate enough to be a part of a group that was able to address the subcommittee of the General Assembly in February of 2019. As a result of a lot of hard work and dedication from a team of committed individuals, we were able to pass a bill that would allocate the funds to help us remodel, rebuild, or renovate our current high school. So you guys already know. And now that those resources, we approved it, and those initiatives have been put in place, it is time to move. Being here today is easy for me because I see the need, and I see the need for us as a county to model a society that is inclusive and ensures that all students have the tools they need to be successful, productive citizens. I can speak from my own personal experience because I am the type of parent who desires to be deeply involved in helping our children be prosperous. To that extent, it is a priority to me that we consider the accessibility needs of our school. Whatever we do to the high school, it does need to be done now. Everyone knows it is a long distance from the handicap parking to the front door. I've done this pushing my chair manually, and it's exhausting. So I can imagine what it would be like for a student to be able to do it, or a teacher, because to get inside of the building from the teacher parking lot is not practical for someone with a disability. In a wheelchair, in a walker, or whatever, it's not practical. There are only 2 handicap restrooms in the school. So if you're on the 3rd floor, so if you're on the 3rd floor, you have an issue getting to a restroom. So for me, if I wanted to be more involved, it would be difficult to get around. So I'm just saying that it is time. It's time to get involved, to build a new school, to remodel, to do whatever we need to do to make sure that our schools are accessible to everyone, because students are coming. They're going to come and they're going to have disabilities. We need to be prepared for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizen comments? Please come forward and state your name. Would you make sure the mic is on?
Good evening. My name is Christy Tucker. I am a parent of a middle schooler and a high schooler. I'm also here with concerns about the state of the track. I have had a child performing on the track team for the last few years, and the condition is pretty bad. And as far as speaking on behalf of the parents of the track students, we have kids that are going Saturday to perform at state. And they were able to get there, you know, practicing in these, under these conditions. And one of our concerns is that we, as parents and the students, we want more attention to even be looked at as, at the track program as a whole. Track is one of those sports that's not really looked at as much as our baseball and softball and football programs, and that's a concern of the students. We need to, as a community, come together and try to do whatever we can to support these kids as well, because being, you know, on track in COVID has been rough for these young people, and I think more needs to be done to support them in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tucker. Do we have any other citizens who wish to come forward? Okay. We'll move on to the superintendent's report and information. Dr. Lindberg.
Ms. Fraley and members of the board, just always like reviewing the school board goals, and already tonight you see our goals being talked about by our community, and including a change in the agenda or an updated agenda which relates to goal number 4 and modernization of the high school and elementary school facilities that aligns with number 3. So I'd like to remind us of our goals as a division. 1 is to develop career and or college ready citizens. 2, continue to emphasize student learning and maintain full accreditation for all of our schools. 3, modernize high school and elementary school facilities. 4, improve compensation for all employees in the school division. 5, provide equitable education opportunities for all students based on policy and data. 6, strengthen and facilitate engagement between schools and families. And just listening to this discussion tonight, and we have spent hours and hours and hours and hours as soon as we started getting a little bit out of COVID in February, going after these goals, and I agree with the members of the community, and I think I think we do as well, is that it's time to address some of these substantial disparities that we face in our school division. So I'm proud of these goals, and these are ones we have circled, and we'll go after it. Just a couple other quick announcements that we have. We have an update for you, put it on your thing about high school. This is the time of year we have state championships and really neat things going on. So tonight, the high school, we have girls soccer here tonight, and boys soccer tomorrow. We have baseball here at 6 o'clock. We're in regional play right now. Wednesday, we have softball here at 6 o'clock, and we will also have our boys and girls semifinals will play if they win tonight. Thursday, hopefully we'll be here for baseball finals, or at Amherst if Amherst wins, or Halifax if Amherst loses. So we have to be there as well, and we also have a chance to have softball here Friday night as well, and boys and girls soccer could be around as well. I also point out that beyond athletics, we have great extracurricular activities, and Devon Hall is in the Halifax County High School Theater production is Disney's Aladdin Jr. begins Friday night. Look forward to having that, and you have the dates out there: June 18th, 19th, 20th, 27th, 25th, 26th. Look forward to being there, and I'm looking forward to attending Friday night and checking out our production. Real proud of that, and appreciate the board support of that production. They have been supportive of that. 2 other quick things. We have staff appreciation, which would include our teachers of the year and excellence in service support staff folks of the year. That will be Thursday. That's pretty much an all-day event from 9 until 2. And then we have graduation on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock at Halifax County High School. And interspersed all between in there is our elementary schools have their graduations or end of the year activities as well. So come out and attend some of those events if you can. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Lindberg. I just wanted to add 2 things, and well, 3 things really. Aladdin Jr., I do have a little poster up here. I've attended 2 of the rehearsals for this show, and I strongly encourage everyone to come out and support our students. They have done a fantastic job during rehearsal. So has Mr. Hall and Ms. King, who is the musical director. So please come out and support our drama at Halifax County High School. The other two things I just wanted to make mention of are two ladies. One is sitting back there with the mask on. I'll save her to last. Alexis Hubbard, who is an outstanding athlete on the track, has received a lot of awards in the last few weeks. One of them I attended in Danville. She was chosen for the Respect All Cultures Equality Clothing Scholarship, and I attended that and was able to meet her. I'd never met her before. She's a wonderful young lady, gifted in her ability of doing track, and she's just an awesome young lady. She'll be going to Shenandoah next year, or this coming fall, and we wish her well. The other individual is our student representative, Catherine Allen. Again, she is an outstanding individual, and I know that when she leaves here and goes away to college, that she will make Halifax County very proud. She was in the paper most recently to receive the DAR Good Citizens Award, and I have absolutely no doubt that she deserved that, and I just wanted to say congratulations, Ms. Allen. Mr. Moser, do you want to say anything at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Ms. Allen.
Well, first I'd like to thank you. That those comments really do bring tears to my eyes every time I hear them, and I joked the other day. I was like, y'all really trying to inflate my ego before I leave, but I really do appreciate it. Everything that everyone said to me or helped me with over the past 12 years in the school system, and I really do want to thank the school board tonight for this opportunity. I know this is the first time you've ever decided to have a student school board representative, and it definitely wasn't easy with COVID. So I do want to thank you for allowing me to take on the position, and especially Dr. Lineberg for guiding me and supporting me through everything and answering my questions, even when they were probably a little stupid. I did enjoy this position more than I originally thought it would. I thought it would be a lot of boring meetings, but they're far from it. Learning about this process and everything that you guys have to offer for the County of Halifax is extremely interesting, and I can't wait to one day be a part of it again. And then I hope that next year this position can continue to grow, and that the future students can have an opportunity to sit in the same position and kind of help you guys with the perspective of Halifax County students. Again, I just thank you for everything.
Thank you. Yes.
I just want to add one more comment for our board to be aware about Catherine. Catherine also won a $1,500 scholarship, Teach for Tomorrow scholarship, and wouldn't it be a great thing to have her come back and teach for us one day? So yes, we'll be looking forward.
Well, I plan on it, so don't worry. Y'all ain't seen the last of me yet, I promise.
That would be special.
Wonderful.
Okay. Next item on the agenda would be recognitions, and Dr. Lindberg.
It's so nice to have students back in here and recognizing them again, and we have recognized our theater students, and I saw Becky Donner here. I'm not sure if Mr. Donner's here as well. Are they here? So if they come on up front as well, and I just want to, and the students, any students that they have. So we had one act play is Virginia High School League competition, and it is not unlike athletics, and you have a competition for that's judged from Virginia High School League. And our team was very successful this year. They were second in the sub-region that include Halifax, Blacksburg, and Pulaski, and were second in the region that include Pulaski, E.C. Glass, Jefferson Forest, and they had a great season. Were very, very successful. I'd like to get them up front, and Ms. Freddie and I can have a picture with them and ask Mr. Donner to say any words about his team and introduces his participants. Which ones are here would be really, really nice. If you could come, you want to introduce them at the podium and bring them on up? Yeah, that'd be great. And then we'll come over and after you introduce them, we'll go over and take a picture.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having us tonight. We're very proud of the team. I think probably the best thing I can say is that when we finished second place in the sub-regional, I think we did a really nice job. It's been a difficult season because we had to do everything with COVID, and wasn't like we usually do. We never got to perform live for anybody. We had to film everything and send it to the judges for judging. I think the thing that stands out to me the most is that in the sub-regional, for like all region acting awards, they award 5 places out of all the kids and all the teams. And in the sub-regional, we finished with the top 3 scorers for actors, which was our entire cast. So I'm really proud of them. And I've got some certificates that are from the sub-regional. The top point getter and the leading actress for the whole contest was Hallie Beatles. Second was Cameron Cruz. And third was Meredith Duffer. And I'd like to thank all the parents who helped us out, and Coach Lauder at the high school, very helpful and supportive, and teacher James Popek, who's with the business department there, who really helped us out with the technical things that I don't have any expertise with. But it was a wonderful experience, and I thank all of those people and parents who made this possible. Oh. And Peyton Murray. Yes. Who volunteered to help us put all that together and keep everybody straight. But I'm very pleased that we were here tonight. Thank you.
I don't have to be in it, but I think Ms. Freddie was.
Wonderful job. Wonderful.
The next item on the agenda is with Dr. Woltz, 100 Best Wise High School Teaching Personnel Finance.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, board members, and Dr. Lindberg. It gives me great pleasure to announce to you tonight that Halifax County High School has been recognized in the top 100 best WISE high schools teaching personal finance in the nation. Wow. This marks the 9th year of such rankings, and it's the only national ranking in high school financial education. Here with me this evening are outstanding personal finance teachers, Diane Witt, Marlene Seamster, Jocelyn Forrest, Sandora Faulkner, and we're missing Mandy Flowers. These teachers have worked tirelessly in person and virtually to ensure their students would be successful, knowledgeable, and secure in their financial future. Congratulations to them and their students on a job well done. Great job.
The next item on the agenda are the reports. And for a health update, Mrs. Slayball.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Lindenberg. I have a brief update tonight, which is good. Usually if I have a long update, it's not good. So the Southside region percent positivity is 1.9%, down from 6.6 at the last meeting. Our core indicators, our number of new cases per 100,000 for the last 7 days is at 8.8, and it was 35.17 at the last meeting. Our percent positivity for Halifax County specifically is down to 1.7. It was 5.2 at the last meeting. We've had one employee case since the last school board meeting, and we currently have one employee out on isolation or quarantine, and that employee is due back to work tomorrow. We've had 2 student cases since our last board meeting, and I'm very happy to report that we currently have no students out on isolation or quarantine.
Terrific.
Yep.
So the golden shots are working.
We've seen a lot of improvement.
All right.
We've seen a lot of improvement.
Yes.
Any questions? Thank you all.
Mr. Potts.
Excuse me, you know you're not getting away that easy.
I was hoping.
I know. Thank you, Ms. Slayball. Good report.
Thank you.
Definitely want to say that up front. Questions I have, they've been in the back of my mind all the time, and not just this month or last month, but since COVID. What are the percentages that we have gotten shots into the staff?
We're still between 60 and 70% of our staff. We have some trickling in that are getting it, but it's not coming in as fast as it once was.
60 and 70% is what we got?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What is the ideal percentage that we herd immunity?
100?
So,
Well, I don't know if we'll ever get to 100.
yeah, the president's goal is 70%
Okay, so we're pretty close.
with our staff, yes.
I don't think we'll get to 100.
Well, I'm like the commercial. I don't like pretty close. If you've seen the commercial, you know what I'm talking about. I still got a problem with staff coming to work here, and it's bad enough we're gonna have a lot of kids probably not having the opportunity to get the vaccine, but 30% of the staff not receiving the vaccine. I got a problem with that. Even though maybe they are, maybe they're not, but I wouldn't bring my child over here for 30%. It's just that simple. I wouldn't advise my daughter to bring her daughter over here to go to school, because to me that's not high enough. It needs to be 85, 90% to do that, and I got a problem with that, really. So I just wanted to know. I know you can't talk to that, but I know Dr. Lindenberg can talk to it. What can be done about this, Doc?
I mean, it's really the choice of an employee on it. I mean, do I think the employer can. I mean, it's possible that the employer could mandate that. I do think that mandating to folks' health is going to be controversial and could be problematic with it. I'm not aware of a division in the state that is requiring it at this time. I have asked that question to our attorney, and so that's where we are with it at this point.
So is that including staff and just staff, or that including teachers and staff? Because there's a big difference.
All employees.
All employees.
All employees.
Bus
So
drivers.
looking at how many employees we have? 800, 700?
We had 935, but I
900, so
know
we got 200 and some that haven't gotten shots yet. That's 30% of 900, right?
around about, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, so
Mr. Pop,
I'm listening.
there are two sides. There are some people feel as strongly, I feel strongly about, that I should have the vaccine. And there are other people that feel just as strongly about not getting the vaccine. So, even though we would love for everybody to have the vaccine, but we have to accept their decision and hope for the best.
Ms. Coleman, I appreciate you saying that, but I don't accept that.
Okay, all right.
Because I'm gonna go back. I'm older than most people in here, and I remember when I stood in line for half a day to go get my polio shot, and then nobody offered that, saying you had the choice. You had to take it. Just like you got to take the measles shot now. It's like you have to take diphtheria, anything that comes up. Anytime something comes up, you got to take it. But it comes for this thing that's been killed almost 600,000 people. We want to get all belligerent and start saying you got a choice. Well, I ain't got no choice in letting nobody die. That's how I feel about it. I don't. My choice is you take the shot or you stay at home. It's just that simple. Maybe you can teach from afar. I don't know. Or maybe you can do something else from afar. But to me, 200 and some people coming back that don't have a shot is 200 too many. And this is not the first time I brought this up, and it won't be the last time. 'Cause I'm gonna beat this horse until he dies, and then I'm gonna bring him back. Because it doesn't make sense to do that. We are hypocrites. The American people are hypocrites.
Mr.
The American
Moser,
peop- Excuse me?
Mr. Moser.
I hadn't finished.
Oh, I thought you had. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Mr. Potts.
Thank you. It bothers me. Y'all need to understand this, Mark. We need to find out from our attorney, and if that, we need to get up with the legislatures or somebody to come up with saying, stop pitter-pattering around with this, because this is too serious. See, I personally, even though you're saying what's going down, I don't believe that. I still think that there are a lot of people dying from COVID right now. Right this minute. There are people still dying from COVID.
There are.
Yeah, there are.
Less
Yeah.
than what it was at one time.
They still done.
One is too many. One is too many, if it's preventable. See, the thing about this thing is preventable, and the side effects are minimal, excuse me. So I don't understand why we're playing. We are constantly playing games with other folks' lives. And I'm talking about the people that won't get the shots. You're playing games with your kinfolks' lives. You're playing games with other folks' jobs. Even though I got the shot, I still didn't get it. It won't be just as bad. But what about the people that don't get the shot? What about those kids that's going to come back that's not 12 years old that not going to be able to get the shots? What is the status on that? They just experiment on the kids from 0 to 7.
Well, I think it's a personal decision for any parent. I mean, we've been pretty upfront that we do not have 100% of our staff vaccinated. That's why we're providing the option of virtual, should a parent not feel comfortable. I think Ms. Hastings is working on a great program, and if a parent is not comfortable sending their child back because we don't have 100% staff vaccinated, then they do have another option. We're not denying their education.
So we are going to have other options, because other options I can think of would be virtual, right?
Virtual is our other option. We do have a virtual option K-12 next year. And there will be a report on virtual setup in July. Ms. Hastings has been directed, and we'll prepare for that for the July meeting. Right now, we think between 225 and 275 students in the program.
Already?
What's the deadline that you set for that, Dr. Morris?
I think the deadline is already come and gone. Is that right, Tina? Do you know? I don't know if anybody in here.
16.
The
The 16th is the
Yeah.
deadline.
16th of June?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we want to get the
Couple more days.
information, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Moser, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to make a comment. I understand what Mr. Potts is saying, but I have to favor with Ms. Coleman. I mean, it's an individual's choice to receive a vaccination or not receive a vaccination. There's not been enough study, from what I've found out, that females won't be affected with this if they wanted to try to get pregnant. So I don't blame people for having a choice. That's what the American people, that's what we have fought for so long with our freedom, is to have the freedom to make a choice of what we want to do when we want to do it. And when you start dictating who takes this and who takes that, to me that sounds like communism. To me it sounds like Adolf Hitler, trying to force something on people that they don't want to do. Everybody has a choice. And if the parents have a choice, if you want to send your kids to school, you can send your kids to school. The parents have a choice. If they don't, they can do virtual. We have a choice sitting right here in this room. And I do not feel that it's up to this school board or anybody else to mandate or try to mandate what a person does with their personal body. And I hope that no one is sitting on this board will ever think about trying to implement something like that in our system. I really don't. I know I won't.
Madam Chair, I'd like to point out to Mr. Moses that we've already got that set up in this state. You already, if you don't think so, ask anybody that got kids going to school. Do they or don't they have to take shots before they come to school, before they come on the school grounds?
Some do, but some don't.
One that some don't for religious reasons.
Exactly.
Out of that
So
200,
it's no
out of that
different.
300 people, are those 300 religious people that's trying to say that?
It's no difference.
No, yeah,
It's
it's a
no
big
difference.
difference, it's a big
No
difference.
difference.
So what you're telling me that it's all right to go ahead and you bring your infected self into school and infect everybody? Is that what
Didn't
you're
nobody
saying?
say anything about being infected. I said a choice.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Long.
Madam Chair, that's a matter of his opinion. He brought the question up, I'm just rebutting that question. That's the options that I have to do. I can't rebut it, just like he rebutted mine, I can rebut his. So I don't need him telling me that this is not what we need to be doing, because it is what we need to be doing, because this is serious stuff.
Well, Mr. Potts, Mrs. Slaybaugh has explained her stance and the stance as far as the legal issue is concerned, and whether we can or cannot ask our employees or demand that our employees take the shot. And Dr. Lindberg has addressed it too. I mean, I don't know what further discussion would make any difference at this point. My feeling is I've taken both of the shots. And I understand I have some very close friends who have decided not to, who are much younger than me. Their choice is something that I applaud, even though I don't agree with it, because of where we live. We cannot make people do things, and we can't make them take these shots if they feel that the shot is going to do something to hurt them. That's why we now have the virtual thing set up that Dr. Lindberg and Mrs. Hastings have been working with to offer another alternative for our parents and our children to get an education. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Potts, and it would be wonderful if we could have all of our employees do this, but they have their own personal reasons why they're not.
Madam Chair, I have one more statement.
Yes, sir.
We're going to see in this country, and it's got nothing to do with communism, and it's got nothing to do with Adolf and his crazy bunch of fools. because we just had a bunch of fools that did that back in January. The bottom line is, it's gonna happen. People are already making that decision to do that. So do you wanna go to a hospital that doesn't have everybody already taking the shot? Do you want them to come in there and work on you in the operating room or get your knee fixed if they haven't taken the shot? Hospitals are going to do that. I don't know if Centerio's going to have the guts to do that, but hospitals are doing that. So it's just a matter of time before it takes place. And this ain't got nothing to do with no communism. This got to do with a whole lot of practical sense. That's what it got something to do with. It's got to do with some survival of all of us. Because what we're going to end up doing is killing ourselves off by not taking action. That's what we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Potts. Thank you, Mrs. Slabaugh.
Thank you.
Dr. Lindberg, the resurfacing of the high school track.
Ms. Fraley, members of the board, you have a report from Mr. Brumfield regarding the maintenance of the track, and I'll just summarize it. And then Mr. Clark already did a great job. He couldn't have displayed it down any better. The high school track needs repair and completely resurfaced. The HCPS athletic facilities not only are used by our student athletes, but more of the time by our communities. These facilities need constant maintenance. A track surface is only good for 10 to 12 years, and you need to repair or resurface. Attached is a quote. And that is just a quote. I mean, that doesn't mean that's a number. It could come in higher if you did it the more. But I would if you do it, you need to do it the right way. We have in everything we've done with the high school and preparing for the high school, that's been part of potential part of the project. As we got to Mr. McDowell asked a great question about capital improvement and end of the year funds that we use for that. We reserved what end of the year funds we had this year, trying to reserve as much of it as part of our goal for compensation as well, as part of building that up. And so that expense was not in there, and with the hope of moving into the with the high school project and moving immediately on it. In that part of the project. That doesn't mean if you time to move the high school, I mean, it could be one of the first projects you get to as part of the rebuild of the high school. But there's no doubt that it needs to be done.
Is that it, Dr. Lindberg?
What is that? I don't have that in my packet, what you're showing up there.
What is that total? What is that total for resurfacing the track?
You have that?
It should be in there, Ms. Coleman. It's from Mr. Brumfield. The estimate is $453,000. That's just for the track. I mean, if you do some more work to the field and all that kind of stuff, I think that would come up. And again, that's an estimate.
That's just for resurfacing?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I know I don't but I guess I can.
Here's what I think on it is part of the anything that we do when we build is part of it is to build in maintenance on it. And one of the things that we've tried to do, and a good example is one of the things I think we've been really progressive with has been our bus fleet. And now we got into our white car fleet. We kind of have beginning to get a good rotation plan in. Our athletic facilities are as used as anything in the country. We're trying to, or any in our county, that's what's used by everybody. When you resurface the track, you ought to build in $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in your budget each year to build that back up. So when you get to 8 or 10 years, a rubberized track, you resurface the gym floor every single year. You go out to the football field and you put fertilizer on it and you mow it constantly and all that kind of stuff. But a track, you put it down, everybody thinks it's just going to just stay there forever. It is not. It's like putting new tires on a car. You've got to rotate it, and we have not had a plan in it. And I think most school systems don't have a plan for a facility like track. But it needs to be repaired, and when it gets time to be repaired, you ought to build it into the budget and reserve it for the future to fix it. To rotate it through in 10 to 12 years.
Well, I just want to say this about the track, and of course, any other facilities at the high school, middle school, or the elementary schools. With the track in particular, I'm hoping that once we do get someone to come in and take care of this issue, that we're able to upkeep it like every couple of years, or maybe they will recommend a time that we can have it, redone, refurbished, and that kind of thing. So 15 years won't go by and we're in this again.
Yeah. The typical lifespan on an rubberized track is and that's been my experience too, working in high schools, is 10 to 12 years.
10 to 12
And we're at
years.
15.
Okay.
So.
Yes?
I guess this question is
Just
for Dr.
non-response.
Lindenberg. Dr. Lindenberg, I know you touched on this a moment ago, but I would ask that you revisit it again. So the presumption is at some point we'll do something with the school, whether that be renovate, build new, or something. If that occurs, I know their sports facilities are part of that discussion as well. So do you anticipate that the track at that point would be moved or relocated? I mean, would we be, what is the plan for the
I
track?
mean, I think once we decide the direction we go, there's some things that you decide on. I think the track would stay under every scenario. The track would stay where it would be. I think the question becomes, in the football, soccer stadium, do you eliminate that hard surface track and close it in, or do you move that as well? Because however disrepair the track is in, the stadium is in disrepair even worse than that.
Yes,
It's kind of, both of them are in the surface of both infields is fine. It's the stuff that needs to be maintained. So my preference would be to keep the track as it is and make a decision as we look at cost on stadium, how to fix it up.
So potentially this is not money that we would spend in 2 years down the road, be tearing up the track to move to a
No,
different
I don't
location.
think so. I mean, we've been trying to be real practical in our approach on anything we put into buildings right now on strategically, putting money into places that are going to be here for a while. So I think it would be there on the track, yeah.
So my second question, if I may, Mayor, would be, do you have a recommendation?
So I would like to see it. I'd like to see our board make a decision on the high school project soon. I mean, I think each time you're losing buying power each month we go on. So I would like to see it stay within there. At the same time, we have some funding, and I think it's a stretch to see it happen. But I have talked to colleagues across the state that say apply for ESSER 3 funds on it. I think linking that to COVID is a stretch, but maybe to social emotional learning, well-being of kids and all that kind of stuff. We will explore that. We reserved whatever we had end of the year money this year trying to build for compensation, trying to reserve that. And if you remember some of those conversations from last month, we talked about, okay, we're going to have some money left over, and let's see if we can't use that to help build towards fixing compensation. And a $500,000 project is a lot, but not a lot in the scope of the high school project itself. I mean, so my hope was to envelope it into that. And if you're building a new school anywhere, you include all those, you include the ancillary facilities with it. So that was my hope, is that we would include it in there.
Well, I'll be a little bit more specific. Do you have a recommendation toward the track itself tonight for us?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do not have
Okay.
a recommendation, no.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Potts? I can't hear you. Is your mask, is your,
Is that the principal sitting back in the back, right back there? And Mike? Okay. I got a question for him, please. I
okay.
would like to know, did we or did we not get told that we couldn't have track meets over there a couple of years ago? And if we did, why did we end up having one just a few weeks ago?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think probably referring to hosting some type of regional or state play may have been given. I don't think any guidance has been given as far as a regular season meet. Certainly, the track is in need of repair and has been for a number of years, and I would certainly support doing that when it makes the most financial sense for the division.
Well, I understand now what you're saying, that that's the regional. So wouldn't the regional procedures be enhanced or be the same thing as the divisional stuff, the stuff that goes
Well,
on?
I think that the difference is typically you'd be needing all the lanes to host an event like that. It's a similar situation we're in with our football stadium too. They have certain requirements from the VHSL to be able to host certain events. And if you don't meet those requirements, whether it be spacing or bathrooms or whatever they have listed on there, then you're not able to host certain events, per the VHSL. I don't have those restrictors in front of me, but certainly we could research and supply the board with those.
Well, that came about because we won the state championship back in '95, or whenever, what year that was. That VHL decided to pass the Halifax motion about doing that limitation.
Certainly, unfortunately,
That's
aware
exactly
of
what
the
it
Halifax
was.
rule.
But my concern is still, why would we even have our kids practicing on that? If it looks like this, one of them stumble and fall and get hurt, we're gonna be liable for it. It's not if we're gonna be liable for it. And to me, I don't understand why we would even do that. Well, we got 5 lanes to run, or we got 2 lanes to run.
Right, we have certain lanes that still have been deemed usable, while we have certain lanes that may not be usable. Certainly, it is our effort to provide the safest place for all of our students to practice and compete. This is something that requires maintenance. We have not done that maintenance as a division. I don't know that I hold the check card to do that. But certainly I support upgrading that facility. I've supported upgrading many of our facilities and bringing them to ADA compliance. And I think the larger conversation here is that we need to address those across the high school, including the track. Our football field's not in ADA compliance. You could argue that our gymnasium is not in ADA compliance. Our auditorium is not in ADA compliance. There's a lot of issues, including the track, that may be deemed by some people to be an unsafe environment to practice play. There may be some that think our gymnasium is unsafe. Certainly there are lanes at our track that are unsafe, and this is why we need to address it.
Mr. Lord.
Dr. Lindenberg,
Yes, sir.
a few follow-up questions. And first, I would like to say that I certainly support athletics, and I always will support athletics and all of the athletes across the board. I guess my question would be, and I appreciate your answers earlier, and it's good to know that this is not money that if we found the money to allocate at this time, that it's not money that would be wasted, and that we're not going to tear it up in 2 to 3 years or whatever time frame it may be for a new school. So I guess my question would go back actually to the money itself. I mean, do we have capital funds out there anywhere that?
I think it depends on what the board wants to do and how it fits into, and as I've shared with the board, is compensation and facilities go hand in hand. And I think that at the moment, we don't have $500,000 we can get to today to do it if we want to meet some of our other goals. Now I think we have not intentionally neglected the track. In fact, we've worked on trying to build a plan for the high school for some time, trying to hope to fold it all in there together. So I don't think we have it today unless we were to get fortunate enough and to have it approved in some kind of ESSER funds. And as we rectify the end of the year, if we decided on that, that depending on amount and so forth, possible capital carryover, but not today, not today. I mean, I think maybe we can report that one back out at some point in the future, but we don't have 453,000 today to get to it.
Madam Chair,
Ma-
I have a question,
wait.
maybe you can answer, somebody can answer.
Mr.
Who's
Moser,
responsible for?
Mr. Moser's ahead of you.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Mr.
go ahead.
Moser.
I didn't know what time.
My question, Dr. Lindenberg, is, and to Mr. Lewis, if we know the track is in this type of condition and we can't fix it, are we gonna tell the community to stop using it? Are we gonna tell the students that we can't use it? And the reason I'm asking is, with the damage to it, and I think Mr. Potts will agree, if we let the public walk around it, use it, and somebody slips and falls and hurts themselves, and we all aware of it as a board, now that the damage is significant, who's gonna be liable? It'll come back on the school system, am I correct? And I don't think we, I don't,
you walk at your own risk, Mr. Long, don't you?
well, I
No,
mean,
that
well,
don't-
but you on school property.
No, that,
You on school property, so, I mean, you know, that's actually not the sidewalk and it's not the pavement. That's actually property of the school. So if a kid gets hurt, we're
Oh, the
liable.
children, yeah, we're
Well, I
responsible
mean,
for the
true,
children. No.
but we let the public walk on it too, and somebody gets hurt, we liable to be, and could be, because anybody can sue, civilly sued for it.
do we have a sign out there say that? Walk at your own risk? Do we have a sign that says walk at your own risk?
I mean,
No,
I mean,
it's
the-
understood.
No, you take that understanding to court and you get laughed at. But it's gotta be up in writing. You can't be, well, it's understood you can do that. No, it's gotta be a thing up there saying you got to do that.
Do we
Being
not
honest.
have immunity from lawsuits as a school body?
Huh?
Do we not have immunity from lawsuits as a school body?
Not from personal injury.
So-
Somebody get hurt because of our personal negligence, no.
what I would advise the board on is one, we know this is an issue, okay? We need to have a plan to address this issue. We know we have funding, with time, we're making plans, we know we need to address it. I think that for adults who walk on it, they assume their own risk, okay? That's an assumption of risk, as long as it's not, you know, something that we could foresee would really maim or hurt somebody. I think they assume their own risk. For our students who are out there, we have adult supervision out there with it, and they ought to be advising them, you know, be careful, don't run in certain lanes, stay out of lanes one and two. They're the ones that are disrepair, running lanes 3 and 4, and that ought to help rectify that until we repair it.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Coleman.
if we go on and make a decision on the high school project, this track will be taken care of. And we will not be having this discussion because it will be a comprehensive plan that will address the track, the stadium, the high school, and all of this is included. Because, at this point, as Dr. Lindenberg has said, there's not money available. And we don't need to squander any money that we can use to move our CIP and our compensation package forward. That will be inclusive of the high school and the elementary schools as we move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
Another track. I think back then it was like $500,000, I believe, close to it. This is one of the reasons why it's so important for us to come together as a board, and we need to make a sound, good decision, the best decision we can possibly make, and move forward. Because time wasted is money wasted, that we can take that money and put towards the track. And that was one of the purpose and reason for this 1 cent sales tax. We need to stop playing around and make a decision one way or another what we're going to do, because we have a plan in place already. We just need to implement it.
Yeah,
That's all we need to do. We need to implement it.
we just keep kicking.
And this
the
stuff
can down the road.
that's been going on for so long, we need to move. And just like Mr. Lewis said, all of our facilities is ADH, not in compliance. the football field, baseball field, the high school. The report even stated that the high school don't even have enough elevators and stuff in there for ADH and stuff. So a lot of our facilities is not in ADH compliance. So we have a plan in place. We need to implement it. Stop talking about it. Let's move. Let's do something. That's all we need to do. But we don't want to waste money. And I do know that the track is in the overall plan. So we just need to go ahead and make a decision what we're going to do one way or another. If we make this decision, all of this is going to be taken care of. We just need to make it. That's all we need to do. There's no need to keep talking about it. Let's make the decision and move on. The citizens have spoken. They said what they wanted. Now let's move on. There's no need to ignore what the citizens went to the polls and voted for. Let's do it. You know? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edmonds.
You need to talk in the mic. I can't hear you.
Who is and who will or who was responsible for the maintenance of the tracks before up to this night?
So I do think a rubberized track is different than a lot of surfaces and so forth. I think a rubberized track has a lifespan of 8 to 10 years. It is not a maintenance type of something that is maintained daily or weekly or whatever. It is when people walk on it, run on it, use it. Eventually it wears down. It's like the tires on a car. When it's being used, the rubber is being worn, and the benefit is it's a surface that helps kids run. It helps for joints. It gives them that's the surface that you want, rubberized track, and that's if you're going to have competition, that's what you need. But there's generally once you build it, there's very little maintenance to them. You build it and then it just is going to wear down over time, and it's not like some of the other facilities where you have constant maintenance. It's a low maintenance type of use.
Madam Chair,
Mrs. Coleman.
one more comment. We always ask, why haven't we maintained our facilities and why haven't we, addressed the CIP program, CIP projects? In our operating budget, in order to give teachers 1% raise, a 2% raise, I worked for the school district for 22 years. And the only place that they could skim off some money in order to address salaries was capital improvement. So what happened? They kicked capital improvement down the road because we're trying to keep teachers connected to this county. And it seems as though we still didn't do it well because they are leaving us. And so that's why we haven't been able to maintain that track field. That's why we haven't been able to put HVAC units in these buildings, because capital improvement money was used to infuse money into our salary scale in order to come up with a halfway decent salary, but apparently we've fallen short of that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Mark. Isn't capital improvement money only supposed to be used for capital improvement and not put in the budget to help pick somebody's salary? Huh?
In general, yes, but
what I thought.
there is an effort right now to discuss possible ways to do both, since we have some sales tax revenue and plus we have some possible loss of debt coming off in a few years. Maybe there's a way to build it to help alleviate burden on our citizens, and that's part of the reserve that I've shared with you in the past recently.
Thank you, Dr. Lindbergh.
Madam Chair, this is directed to Mark. I still didn't get an answer to my question. All I got was a lot of rhetoric about what this is and what that is, but I haven't got a response to who is responsible to take care of that track.
We are responsible for the
who
track.
Who is we?
Our school system, our school division.
But, okay, well, who in the school system then is supposed to have that obligation?
I want to be exactly specific on it. A track is a low maintenance or almost no maintenance facility until you wear it out. It is like the tires on your car is the same thing. I want to be very specific on it, and no rhetoric. You wear it down by walking on it, by using it, and until it's worn down, then you replace it. In 10 to 12 years, that's what we had. Our company, Burton, came in and they looked at it and said, okay, 10 to 12 years is what it said on it, and that's what it is. There's not general maintenance done to a track every day like any other facility in the building, like a ball field or stripping the floor in the school and all that. That's not part of it. You put the rubber on it and you use it and go.
Well, how do we let it get in the condition it's in if that's the case?
We waited too long to get it replaced.
That's what I thought. We waited too long. We said it was due 12 years, now it's in the 15th year, right? And Freddie just said, we talked about this 2 years ago, it was more than that because we just got through with COVID in 19 and 20, so that came up a couple of years before that. So I'm still not hearing the answer. Somebody should have been able to, coaches or somebody should have said, this track is tearing up out here.
It's too late now.
Oh, no, it ain't too late because we're gonna come up and do the same darn thing next time. You're destined to make the same mistake if you don't prepare for it. That's what you're destined to do, Stanley.
But right now,
Folks,
we don't have the money.
I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity.
Point of order, please.
I'm so sorry.
Point of order.
Forgive me.
Dr.
I would
Lindbergh.
just be remiss if I didn't say in here, this board established 6 goals, okay? In each one of those goals, we have an action team. And each one of those goals, we are going after them 1,000,000 miles an hour. One of those goals is to repair, renovate the high school, replace the high school, and have a plan for elementary schools. That's what it says in there. We are working on that, working on it as hard as we go. We're having plans. I think in the weeks ahead, we're having 2x2 and then a joint facilities meeting in July with our board of supervisors. At the same time, you've asked to work on compensation. Okay, that is goal 4. Okay, we have developed a plan. I've shared it with you in bits and pieces, and we'll continue to share it until we're ready to really vet it out publicly. But it's, you know, we're working towards that, and I think we're close to having a plan for that. I think both of them are critically important to the viability of our school division.
Mr. Camp, did you want to say something?
Madam Chair. Yes, ma'am. I'd like to just, I don't know, make a couple of observations. We got coming up on the agenda $360,000 to purchase some property, so evidently we got money enough to do that. We got 452 here. If we've got 452, which has been competitively bid, what's the holdup? I mean, we got, you know, we got sales tax money. You know, we're gonna kick everything down the road. That's what we're doing. So I'm just making a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Camp. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is unfinished business with Dr. Lindbergh. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for the school board goal action plans.
Ms. Friendly, members of the board, tonight before you, and I just alluded to, you have school board goals and action plans. I'm seeking your approval tonight. Every one of you have been on. We've had representation from our board on each one of the 6 goals. I don't think I need to go through each one of the goals and be specific. There's bullets under each one, but we plan to execute these goals until we reach them. So those goals are there. The goals, again, are develop career and college-ready citizens, and you see action plans with it. And the second one is continue to emphasize student learning and maintain full accreditation for all. You see an action plan with that. The third one is modernize high school and elementary school facilities. You see that on there. The fourth one is improve compensation for all employees in the school division. The fifth one is provide equitable education opportunities for all students based on policy and data. And the sixth one is strengthen and facilitate engagement between schools and facilities. So I'm seeking approval for these action plans tonight.
Okay, I need a motion for the 6 goals and the action plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay. And we need a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Did you get that one abstention? Yeah.
I didn't hear you, Mr. Potts.
Motion carried. Aye. This is the next item of business on the agenda, which is new business. Purchase of the Powell property. Dr. Lindberg, Dr. Warner.
And Mr. Warner, if you come up and so forth, I'll just preface it by saying we're requesting approval to purchase a Powell property adjacent to Halifax County High School at a cost of $360,000. The price equates to $30,000 per acre, and it's a 28% of the asking price, originally at $1.2 million. Your approval will trigger the need for the Board of Supervisors to approve using funds for the 1% sales tax intended for the purpose of modernizing the high school, and this folds into our conversation in a fair question from Mr. Camp is why 360 is fair. It's a fair question. That's a good question that he asked. Is we think this is a necessary part of the project, and we were hoping to include in an effort to be cost effective to include as you go include a comprehensive approach to the high school. So Scott, I'll let you talk about the modernization of the high school and how this plays into it.
Well, the property actually originally it's 15.21 acres, and they had an asking price of $1.6 million. And we had it appraised, and the property appraisal came in much lower than that, actually at $380,000. As a school division, we're really not supposed to be purchasing property for anything more than market value. The market value for this piece of property is approximately $24,948 an acre. If you multiply that times 12, come up with, originally it was $299,000, but that was an appraisal that was done in August of 2019. Since that time, of course, land and home prices have escalated to a great degree, and the $360,000 price that we're offering is in line with market value right now. Purpose for the property purchase is one, just happens to be right next door to the current high school property, so that's very convenient and won't come up very often. Number two is if you choose to renovate the high school within the modernization project.
Mobile buildings. Oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon me? Okay. If you choose to renovate if you choose renovation as the modernization project, we'll have to put a large-scale set of trailers to house the students during that period of time, which will take up most of the bus parking lot. Therefore, we will have to have a place to stage equipment for the renovation and provide temporary parking, probably move our students up there for parking, and the bus loop will have to now be in the student parking. If you choose to build new, then the 12-acre piece will constitute a great portion of where the new building would go. So that's the purpose for the purchase of the property. Any questions?
Mr. Warner, the Mosley report, when that was initially done, this property was not involved with that report. Why all of a sudden we need this much land? And what changed?
There wasn't any change to I wasn't here during the Mosley report, but I do know that the Mosley report had Hurt and Profit come in and do an assessment of the soils that the school currently sits upon, and they're considered soft soils. And mitigation of those soils, you have to first tear down the high school. You'll have to mitigate the soils, bring at a great cost to regrade and bring in stiff soils to be able to build onto a stiff soiled property, so you won't have the settling and the issue that we currently have. The property next door that we're talking about does have stiff soils, and it's been already tested by Hurt and Profit.
Okay, but wouldn't it make more sense to put those mobile units in the bus parking section? It doesn't have to be graded or anything?
That's what I said.
So what is the purpose of that land?
That property, if we were to renovate, we would have to have an area for staging, and also part of that area would have to be, we'd have to put the bus lot now into where the student parking is, and student parking would have to go on this property. It's too expensive to put trailers onto turf and grass. They require it to be on a concrete surface area. So we'd have to replace that area for parking. We'd basically be shifting things around. Bus parking lot would now be a trailer court. The student parking lot would now become the bus lot. This property would be divided and fenced. Part of it would be for student parking, and the other part would be staging for the equipment that would have to be used for a renovation, because a lot of that heavy equipment can't be in and around the trailers. So there'd be staging plus all the materials that would have to be coming as well. So it could serve a dual purpose. It could either be a staging area for renovation, or it can be part of the site for the new building.
Okay, did we get a report back on whether there were any burial grounds there on that property?
There are no burial grounds.
None whatsoever?
To anyone's knowledge.
Okay.
Of course, that goes by conventional records.
Okay.
But in any kind of construction project, especially with the municipality, there's a required archaeological review to check for any indigenous or native burials that could be there, and that's digging and looking.
So we should do that before we even think about
That's
purchasing
traditionally
this
never done
property.
until such a time that you have already started a project, and when that occurs, there are mitigations for that as well. It depends upon what's discovered. If it's a prehistoric find, it's not the same as an indigenous find for Native Americans.
So we could have a chance of losing right much acreage there if we purchase this land. If there's a burial ground, Native American burial ground is what
Right.
I'm getting at.
Right, but we
So
can't.
we hadn't done enough research to find
We
out
can't,
if it's one
we
there.
can't do that until we own the property.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the records, according to the owners, are that there's no burial grounds on there from their surveys as well. But there's always a possibility
Yeah,
that there
it
could be a
is.
prehistoric.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Can you turn your microphone on?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Mr. McNally, you have knowledge that it's a burial ground?
Well, I heard it was, and that's why I think we need to do more research to make sure before we go purchasing this much land for that amount. And we don't know how much of it we're gonna lose.
So is it verifiable? I mean, you said you
Well,
heard.
we've got to do some research.
Oh, okay. That could be a
it-
conspiracy, though.
It could be, but I don't think so, but, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
that's something we need to look into.
'Cause
We-
you know a lot of fake news
We
out
have,
there.
we have done the conventional check for any burial grounds, and to the owner's knowledge, there's no indigenous people there. But of course, there's always the opportunity, you could find a prehistoric site, but that's a whole different ball of wax.
Because a lot of people just want to sell the land. That's, you know, You gotta look at that too.
Yeah.
There's two ways to look at it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
we did check the records though about any
Okay.
burials, so
All
there
right.
were none.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Scott, I think to my knowledge, I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. At one time, it was 2 to 3 current business was a part of this 13 or 15 acres of land. And they didn't have any issues when they cut a couple acres from off of this land and put their business on this land.
Not to my knowledge, no. And
That-
at one time, there was a trailer park there
It
as
was
well.
several trailers, there was a trailer park there.
Yeah.
I guess everybody know, Murphy Gas Station was a part of that track. Little Caesar Pizza was a part of that track. And they didn't have any issues with that land. They cut it from off of that 15 acres of land.
Right.
So if it was any issues, they would have found it then. Correct?
Yeah. And the due diligence that we've done thus far has been unable to uncover any type of burial, plot, cemetery, or private burial. But again,
Yeah.
there's always the odd chance, one in
Yeah.
a million, that.
And I do believe that even though when it was in the county, before the town of South Boston annexed that territory, that the county would not allow permits to put trailers in that trailer park. It was something like that along the way.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Scott, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we not have access to other buildings that are in the area that we, instead of having trailers, we could have our students go to these buildings for classes while renovation or rebuilding was going on?
You mean for the high school?
Yes.
We don't have any other buildings other than our elementary and our STEM center and our middle school. Those are the only buildings that we hold, with the exception of a very tiny, small parents' cottage that's down this way.
Okay.
Unless I'm missing something. Dr. Lindenberg, is there anything, other holdings?
No, I mean, I think that as you plan, those are questions that we would ask architects and so forth, you know, do we have other options other than that? I mean, you know, well, yeah.
Mr. Camp, do you have a question?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
How about some of those old schools that we sold, 20 years ago, back when, we closed down about 7 of them?
Those, I think I can answer that. According to state statute, anytime a school division deems a building non-desirable or they do not want it any longer, that property has to revert back to the county. And it then becomes part of the property of the County Board of Supervisors, and they may dispose of it in any way that they wish. For instance, Mary Bethune became an office complex. I think the old Cluster Springs was sold to a private personage, but to my knowledge, all of the buildings that were formerly holdings of Halifax County Public Schools, they have all reverted back to the county. And don't quote me, but I think all of them have been disseminated to either private buyers or have been repurposed into such a degree that they're being used by the county in some form or fashion.
Or they could just still be sitting there.
Might be, yes, sir.
You know,
And
so.
I know that there were, you all know better than I do, I know that we had many, many more elementary schools, and we've compressed and compressed over the years. Like C.H. Friends, that's now an apartment complex, is that correct?
I'm not sure about C.H. Friend. I know Halifax Elementary
Yes,
is.
Madam Chair, I can speak for Wilson Memorial Trail. It's now a residential facility owned by a young man out there. And I don't think he has any desire to move out. He purchased it.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Moser?
Mr. Warner, I just have one question. the price on the property, you said it's 380,
60,
360.
yes.
Now, would that money be coming out of the 3.3 million of sales tax? Is that where we're trying to get the money
I
from?
think the memo that Dr. Lindberg provided to you is that if you indeed want to move forward with this, that we would have to make a request that that money be allocated from the sales tax revenue, which is what you're referring to, approximately 3.1 to 3.4 every year, $1 million.
Now, can that money be allocated from that, being that the sales tax referendum said that it was for construction or reconstruction? It can be allocated from that.
If it's part of the project, and you don't have to deem whether it's renovation or
Right.
new,
But it's got to be part of the project.
yes.
So do we have a project plan in place if the land is agreed upon tonight, that you have a plan in place that you would be able to take it to the board members to ask?
That, I'll let Dr. Lindberg.
I mean, that our hope is that we're renovating, we're building a high school, and that land would be an essential part of the process, and that would not be just to purchase it to be purchasing it, and as we've moved forward, we think it's a valuable piece of real estate that could be used for our to help us fix our high school up. That's
Well,
the intent of it.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we would have to have a proposal, I guess, of a project to present to the Board of Supervisors for them to be able to approve that, correct? So, do we even have a process?
We have talked to Mr. Simpson about it and shared his thoughts. He thought that we were okay on going this route with it.
Okay.
Or I wouldn't have brought it here. We're trying really hard to work with our Board of Supervisors as we work through this.
Okay.
Let me just bring out one thing, and then I'll come to you. Okay. I received information this morning talking with the lady who's in charge of collecting all the taxes for the county. At the present time, from July 1st of 2020 to May 31st of 2021, we only have $2,140,212 that we have collected. And I just bring that out there because I've heard along the line here when we've been discussing what to do with our schools and what to do with the high school, that we have $3.2 million. Well, as of right now, we do not. And I just want to point that out.
Yeah, the number that we've been quoting has been the estimate that was been given to us by Mr. Simpson.
Well, this came from Mrs. Oakes this morning. Mr. Lloyd, I didn't want to overlook you. Yes, sir.
No, ma'am, I appreciate that. I think we've all had a say-so here, and we've kind of gone back and forth on what we would like to do, and I guess at some point are we looking for a motion, I would presume, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm willing to put a motion on the table, and then we can discuss it further or vote it down, whatever the board chooses to do. But I will make a motion that we purchase the Powell property for the use of capital improvement in accordance with the memo that was presented by Dr. Lindberg at the price of $360,000.
There's a second.
I got a question first. How many acres is with the high school?
Could you repeat that?
How many acres are with the high school?
The whole complex there it's measured by the middle school and the high school, and I think that the high school area is 75.4 acres.
Isn't that more than enough for us?
Generally, the Virginia Department of Education's suggestion is that high schools generally should be 125 acres, middle schools should be 75 acres, and elementary schools should be at least 20 to 25 acres. And those were established back in 1995.
Madam Chair, you do have a first and a second, correct?
Yes, we do.
And we're in discussion. We're in discussion
Do
right
we
now.
have any
right?
discussion on it? Yeah.
Can I make a motion? Can I also request that we do a roll call vote? on
Yes,
this,
sir.
please? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, roll call vote, please. Okay. Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, so we have a first and a second, and Mr. Moser's asked for a roll call vote.
District 1, Ms. Fraley.
No.
District 2, Mr. Lloyd.
Yes.
District 3, Ms. Garner Coleman. District 4, Mr. Camp.
No.
District 5, Mr. Edmonds.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Moser.
No.
District 7, Mr. McDowell.
No.
District 8, Mr. Potts. Vote is 4-4. Motion will fail.
What was your last statement? Motion failed. Okay. Thank you. I do not know. I can't answer that question.
If we decide to do anything to the whole school, we're supposed to have to do the dirt and get it corrected. Is that not right? We're supposed to.
I can't answer that. I don't.
We can answer that.
What was the question?
The dirt is not of being satisfactory, right?
According to the Moser report and
Right.
the OWPR report that the Board of
Okay.
Supervisors had, the soils, if you renovate or build new, according to code, you have to mitigate those soils so they will be stiff enough to be able to maintain a multi-ton building. So
Which would have to go in that same spot if you renovate.
if you renovate a building, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you get to 12 acres over here, you wouldn't have to mitigate that, right?
You wouldn't have to mitigate the soils, they would
Right.
have to be grading to make it flatter, but not at the cost of taking soil out and replacing stiff soil.
So what you gonna do then? If you get, you gonna put a lot of money in the old structure is what they're saying? Because that's what they voted on just then.
I think the motion was
I know what the
defeated.
motion was, but I know what the vote was too, so that's my take of it.
Right now, you have to deal with the land that you have.
That's what I thought. So even we got that 12 acres, we could go ahead and renovate, but we would have to do something other than what we need to be doing. Is that correct?
Depends on the scope and sequence of the renovation or
Okay.
brand-new project, yes, sir. It depends on what it is or what the board wishes to do as far as the final project.
Thank you, Mr. Potts. Thank you, Dr. Warner. Next item is to discuss the motion for the personnel situation, Mr. Potts, that you brought up earlier.
Val, you can bring, I mean, everybody know what we're supposed to be talking about. What we want to do, what I want to do is find out what we plan on doing about what's going on right now. Because from what you were telling me earlier, is that we haven't had any situation like this in a number of years. even prior to COVID, right? Okay.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Dr. Lindenberg, members of the board. Mr. Potts, I do understand your concern looking at the personnel report with the number of vacancies, resignations that we have. It is also concerning to me, and I had planned to address this in the closed session. However, I can give you some general comments in open session. As I said, we have been working very hard to fill the positions, and I do want to thank our principals and our central office team for aggressively interviewing for those vacancies. We have expanded our recruiting efforts. We're advertising the vacancies on multiple platforms. We're calling colleges and universities. I'm checking with other divisions, and I will be participating in a local fair here at the end of the month. The vacancies that you see, that you've seen last month, this month, they are not normal. This is not normal. And please keep in mind that we've had a challenging year with COVID-19 for all of our employees from top to bottom. Everyone has been impacted in some way. And I'm not talking about just personally, but I am talking about professionally. We've all been impacted, so it's been a very difficult year. So some of the comments maybe that some of our employees share with me may reflect some of that frustration. Many of my HR counterparts in other school divisions, they also have concerns about teachers possibly leaving the profession, due to COVID-19, maybe going into other professions where they can telework. There are many professions where people have not returned to the office. They are still teleworking and may continue to do that. Typically, when our employees leave, and I try to have an exit conference with the employees. This year, of course, I sent an email to all employees who had submitted letters of resignation, and I asked them to call me back. And they did. I'm always interested in knowing, is there anything we can do to keep you, or is there anything we can change? Just why are you leaving? I mean, honestly, that's why I asked, why are you leaving? And of course, we have a number of retirements, and you can see that on your personnel report because that's listed separately. We'll always have individuals who are relocating, and some of our people are relocating. We've had some individuals who traveling every day from Lynchburg or Danville, and they have, purchased a house in another area, and so they have sought employment elsewhere. We have just a few that relocating due to career changes. And we have some who said one or more things, and when I say something, it's not just one, it could be several things from one person. But we have some people, they talked about that they need a little more support from the administration. Some were stressful. They were constantly revising the IEPs, overwhelming. Some better pay. Morale issues, don't feel valued. Someone said, some of the children break the rules and they get away with unacceptable behavior. Not clear communication. Some are interviewed for jobs recently, and we have a great group of people who are interviewing for jobs, but we only have one job, for a particular vacancy. So they didn't get a job, so maybe looking elsewhere. We have some that have chosen to go to charter schools because less students and thinking that may be a better setting. We have some that have gone to Three Rivers in Cambridge, Virginia. I'm talking about SPED teachers because they do pay very well. But as you can see, there are a variety of reasons why people are leaving, and you can see also in your personnel report that we are filling them as quick as we can, and we're trying to get the best qualified people also. So I anticipate that you will continue to see this because normally July is when, we do get a lot of resignations also. So this trend may continue for a while. But we're hoping that this is going to be just an exceptional year. As I said, this is not the norm. So it is very challenging for us, and we're going to do our best to provide the best education for our students and fill these vacancies with qualified individuals.
Mr. Lord.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, am I correct in my recollection in that in the past 3 years, we had celebrated very high retention rates, correct?
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think we share that with the board. That's why I said this is not normal.
So
It
this-
is not normal.
So it's not a trend at this point?
No.
So, okay, thank you.
It's not a trend, but normally in July is when we see some type of resignations, because a lot of people wait, they don't want to leave, they don't want a lot of fanfare, when they leave, and we're doing a celebration just this week, and we have people who wait till after the celebrations, and then they decide to go out quietly. So that's what I meant by that. We may see some more in the month of July.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
sure hope that we can, with what we have to offer, that we can attract some qualified candidates. Because I shared a conversation with someone that said that out of a scale of 5 being the greatest candidate, the highest rating was a 2.5. So that's saying a lot about, and I hope I will remain optimistic with you, Ms. Hall, that we will be attracting qualified people, but people need to understand that teachers need to be paid too.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna migrate to areas that they can earn more money. And I just want to add, this is a sad day in Halifax County, and I'm sitting here with a knot in my stomach and tense, because we have board members that do not want to see us have a state-of-the-art high school that we can educate our children and give them, children are first, and we are to promote academic excellence. We want the best teachers for our children, and we have people that do not want to promote that. And we will not, this county, I don't want to put our county down, but we need to enlarge our economic base. We're not going to attract businesses that want to come here and they go into that high school and see the condition that it's in and want their children enrolled in that school. They have business people that are employed at ABB that live in North Carolina because they don't want their children coming to this school. We have professional people that have come to this county, and they choose when their children get beyond the elementary level, because we have new schools. When they get beyond the elementary level, they might stay here a little bit at middle school, but when it's time to hit that high school, they are getting up out of here. And it's just a sad day that we don't recognize that education is the pillar that holds up any community. And if we continue to shortchange them and squander, and I don't know what's gonna happen to the sales tax. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna squander that sales tax. Every month that we put off of making a decision, every month is $365,000 added to that bill. And over a year, it's $5 million. And right now at Renovate, we're over $100 million. We're gonna squander that sales tax money. I guess we'll send it back to the state, because poor little Halifax County does not want it, because we don't want a quality high school for our children. It's disgusting.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Moser.
Ms. Coleman, I heard what you say, but you cannot tell me that these board members up here don't want the same thing that you want.
Oh, no, you
Oh,
just
wait,
voted
wait,
no.
let me
You just
finish.
voted
Look,
no.
wait a minute. You talk, let me talk.
Yeah, right.
Now, we got sales tax coming to us, and we got it. But for me to sit here and put all our money in a high school, it'll never happen. The only thing I can tell you to do is get me off the board, because we got to have elementary schools just as much as we got to have high school. Wait a minute, let me finish. Let me finish.
Oh, go on and
I
finish, 'cause
gave
wanna
you
talk too.
respect, and I listened to you.
Okay.
Now you're gonna listen to me.
Okay.
But it makes no sense for us to take $130 million and put on one school when we got other schools in this county that were built in the 1960s that does not have air conditioning, does not have heat.
That do not have heat and air conditioning.
Does not, do not.
Do not.
Okay, but they don't. So how can we take the taxpayers' dollars and spend it all on one school after we promised them if we did that, their taxes would not go up to work on schools? If we put it all on one, who's going to pay for those elementary schools? The taxpayers' dollars are going to have to go up. If I see taxpayers' dollars go up, I would a whole lot rather see them go up to pay teachers that can educate our kids regardless of the condition of the school. You can take a teacher that's got heart, that wants to teach. You used to be a teacher. You can take them and put them in a building just like what we're sitting in and renovate it and make it a good school to give them an education. But the only way that I'm gonna vote for a high school, new high school or renovation is got to have the elementary schools in it. Got to have it.
Comment. You told us that. And Dr. Lindenberg has worked up a plan to address inclusive of elementary schools. We're working on a plan inclusive of elementary schools, high school, and a compensation package. And he has given due diligence to that plan. And if you all don't know, I've worked here for 25 years. He's the best superintendent that ever hit this county. And he works endless hours putting together proposals, and Dr. Warner the same thing. And they'll come in here and they'll lay it all out, and man, with authority, no. You know, so I mean, that's your decision. That's your decision.
I got a comment I'd like to make. If I'm not mistaken, unless I missed something, I think Scott was explaining to us about renovation and building, about that land. It wasn't just key towards building a new school. That land was going to be purchased for renovation and or building, according to what the sales tax referendum was all about. Correct me if I'm wrong now. So nobody ain't said nothing about building no new school. We talk about renovation or just using the land if we needed to renovate the property. If we need to renovate it somewhere to put the trailers and the rest of the stuff at. Heck, at the end of the day, if we renovate, we could took the land. Where can you go buy 12 point some acres of land for $300-some thousand and you got $1.3 million break on it? Necessary, you could turn the land back over to the county, turn it over to the IDA, and let them make some money off of it. If you ain't gonna use it, we can give it back to the county and then let the county give it to the IDA to bring business into this community. So it ain't like that we just got to have that land. We just need it right now so we can put the mobile homes and stuff on it, put the equipment in it. We talk about safety. Well, we want to make sure that the equipment is not going to hurt our children when we renovate that high school. We want to make sure that we're going to have somewhere to put this heavy equipment in the buses so it won't be in the way, so nobody will get hurt. And then, guess what? At the end of the day, whatever decision we make, turn it back over to the county and let the county sell it or let the county give it to the IDA. We can't keep it. If we don't need it, we can give it to them. So it's an investment any way you look at it. And like I said, I didn't think Scott said anything about just building the school. I thought he said to renovate the school or build. That's what I thought he said. So I hope we got another plan, because right now, you got to decide, you know you're going to do something at high school. Now you got to decide where you're going to put all these buses at. Where you going to have the parents come and drop the equipment, drop the kids off at. Where you going to sit the tents up at. Where you going to do all of this stuff at? Unless we got another plan. I don't think Scott presented that because there's no other plan. So right now, the whole comprehensive plan is on hold because we ain't got nowhere to put that heavy equipment. We can't get no dirt. We can't park the school buses. We can't have the parents drop their kids off. So what we going to do? Figure it out.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Long. Yes, sir, it was. Thank you. Are there any more questions about personnel?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Goals 1 and 2, develop career and or college-ready citizens, number 1. Number 2, continue to emphasize student learning and maintain full accreditation for all schools. That's what teachers give us. That's what teachers give us. Teachers have been put upon this last year. You know, I'd like to see the money. That's why I voted no. I'd like to see the money going to compensation, okay, for teachers. because this is a once-in-a-lifetime year that they've had, okay? They've had a heck of a year, too. And they deserve everything that I'm going to try to give them. Now, as far as a new school, I'm ready for a new school just like everybody else. But, instead of us getting mad at one another, you know who we got to get mad at? We got to get mad at the state of Virginia. We got to go back to Richmond, and we got to get one more penny on that tax. Now, if you think about that, just think about it. Walk with me just for 15 seconds. $3.2 million on one penny. One more penny is 3.2. That's 6.4. We'll build a brand new school. We'll take care of all these schools. We need to be upset with the legislature. We need to go back. We need to go back. Now, that's all I'm going to say, because I get emotional about this, because my wife is a school teacher, and I've seen what she did this year, and I've seen, and this is uncalled for. We're losing half of an English department at a high school. Half of our English department. And guess what? That affects this accreditation. And you're talking about teachers who've been here for 20, 25. One of them's retiring. God bless her. Great teacher. I can't name her name because it's personnel. But anyway, y'all know who she is. But anyway, that affects our accreditation. And they're walking out the door. They're walking out the door. And in the words of Sergeant Scott, it's too easy. How hard is it to go to see James Edmonds and say, James, I'll go up there with you, and we'll ask for one more penny? How easy is that? That's what the first sergeant would say. How easy is that? It's too easy. Thank you.
Question for Mr. Kemp. Mr. Kemp, I have a question. Okay. I agree with what you're saying, but this was a whole year process that we went through just to get the 1 cent. So if we go through this whole process again, by the time we get more money, we'll be priced out of what we just approved. And we can't use CIP money for salaries, Mr. Kent. Yeah, we can't use that. I know, and I understand. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you.
I mean, it's.
But like I said, Dr. Mark is trying to give you all what you want, so that it would be an all-inclusive plan. But I think we can't tax, we can't raise taxes, we can't do any of that stuff. And someone told me that in Richmond, you said Richmond, they said, well, is everybody in Halifax on welfare? Because they can't get above 48 cents. They said, "Is everybody on?" That's sad. He said he just want to put a bag over his head and just crawl up under the bench.
Do we have any more questions for personnel for Ms. Hall? Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. We bounced on you, didn't we?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
We are getting ready to go into closed session. Yes, Mr. Potts.
We need to get a report from Ms. Marshall. We need to get a report from you next month on exactly what the status is of 13 with 17 total we got, and how many we got replaced, and how many came up in July, and what's going to be going on, and what other plans we got to go on. Because we can sit there and debate until we turn blue in the face. It's not going to make those people come in and apply for jobs. What can we do to do that? What do we need to do? Do we need to have incentives? Can we afford incentives? I can answer that no. So the thing about it, what can we do? Maybe we can get somebody a reduced place to stay, but that's if the people want to work with it. But we need some type of plan to make sure that we have some outcome that's going to be in a positive manner. Because like Jay said, losing these good teachers is going to affect your credit rate. Not excuse me, your score. It's going, your credit. Thank you. I get it right. Your accreditation.
Mrs. Hall? Before you answer that, can I sort of address Mr. Potts' response before we go into closed session? Mr. Potts, I can tell you a couple things that we need to offer our brand-new teachers, whether they're first year or they've been here or they've had experience. When teachers come to the school system, the people that are working with them in the buildings need to respect them. Number one, I'm not done. Number two, teachers need to be supported from administration on down to the teacher that's next door to them. Those are the two things that I heard our teachers say to me when I went out into the schools. It wasn't compensation. Teachers don't work for money. They work for the future of Halifax County. And when you have teachers who have disrespectful students,
Ms. Frey, I think you need to be directing this toward Ms. Marshall and toward the superintendent. You don't need to direct this toward me, because I already know this.
okay,
So you need to direct that to
Ms.
both
Hall
of
already
them.
knows because I've already told
Well,
her.
do you need to
Thank you,
direct
Ms.
it to
Hall.
him then? Then Dr. Lindenberg need to hear the same thing. The same thing that you're telling me, I already heard. I already know. I've been on
have.
this board 5 times longer than you, so I know what they're going through. So the bottom line is, you need to tell him so he can tell him, so we can get the right attitude with the people that's having the problems like you said they're having. and
We
which
have
I agree
discussed it,
with.
Mr. Potts.
Well, why are you telling me?
I was trying to answer your question so we could go on to
I
closed
already
session.
knew that.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Pursuant to Section 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene a closed meeting for the purpose of considering the following specific matters: personnel, the appointment, resignation, salaries, and performance of specific division employees as authorized by Section 2.23711.1 of the Code of Virginia, and contracts, the discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers, and discussion of the term or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body as authorized by Section 2.23711.29 of the Code of Virginia.
We have a second? Now in closed session?
Oh, we got.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We gotta have discussion.
All those in favor?
We gotta have discussion.
All those opposed?
We'd have to have discussion on the motion.
We have a discussion on the motion?
My discussion is not on the motion. My discussion on the new business, why we didn't address the superintendent's contract amendment. When? It got moved
Yes, it got moved to next month.
to next, well, I must be looking at the previous because it wasn't, yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Now in a closed session?